I'm not gonna lie, I was not happy when I found out that Doctor Doom was actually the Wanderer. I feel like it was a cheap way to introduce a character that wasn't gonna really mean much after the end of this season, but not only that, it was also a missed opportunity to tie Donald Mustard's old story to the current one that we had right now. I really wanted the Wanderer to be the Nothing, a character that had so much potential and was never really covered much in the original Fortnite storyline. Not to mention, one of my biggest issues with Fortnite storyline over the last 2 years is them just dropping plot points and old concepts that could have been used to explain different things that happen on the island, to make a more cohesive story, to solidify the continuity between everything. However, I was pleasantly surprised to find out that I was wrong, that my frustrations and the thing that I wanted the most in the Fortnite storyline was actually going to come to me, but through the way of a collab. One of the many things I want to give Fortnite credit for this chapter is being able to tell a cohesive story from the beginning to the end. There have been clear signs of foreshadowing all the way throughout this thing, from Hope's name having significance to her character and even teasing the Greek season, all the way to Valeria working with this mysterious person who is now rumored to be Doctor Doom the entire time. He was the one that was actually behind the society, and this season right here is what the entire Fortnite Chapter 5 storyline has been building up to. Both of those are great examples of foreshadowing, which is something we've been lacking for a really long time. But what gets me the most excited is now we're starting to share continuity between old Fortnite, Donald Mustard's story, and new Fortnite, what is arguably Charlie Wynn's direction for where he's trying to take the story going forward. I'm not sure whose idea it was to bring Doctor Doom back to Fortnite. However, I am so happy that they did, because it not only gives purpose to a collab villain, but also gives continuity between this story that's been going on for the last 7 years. Now, let me make something clear. I'm not personally against collabs in the Fortnite storyline. It's just that I want these characters to have purpose and meaning when they're here, and Doctor Doom brings that in droves. See, one of the feelings that I had last season when I was analyzing the Wanderer situation was I forgot about Doctor Doom's involvement in the Zero War comics. For those who don't know, in Chapter 3, there was a character called the Ice King, and on the moon outside of the Fortnite Island, outside of the bubble that existed there at the time, he actually had a castle that contained the most dangerous weapons in all of the Omniverse. He put all the weapons there to keep them out of the hands of the worst beings in the Omniverse, but unfortunately, Doctor Doom actually got his hands on a lot of them. Now, the thing that we didn't know at the time was exactly how many and which ones Doctor Doom had grabbed before he left back into his own reality 616. Now, if you've never read the Fortnite comics and are not caught up on the Zero War lore, don't worry, I have an entire playlist on my channel where I voice acted, added sound effects, music, everything, the whole nine to that entire series. You can watch it right after you're done with this video, and you'll actually understand what it is that I'm talking about, and you'll get a better understanding of how we got here this season. And listen, here's the crazy part. It's because of the open-endedness of those comics that allowed for Doctor Doom to come back to the Fortnite Island in the way that he did. The Wanderer's cloak that we saw all of last season, it's theorized that that was one of the many weapons that Doctor Doom stole from the Ice King's castle, and that makes complete sense. It also addresses one of the arguments that I had last season, which was that Doctor Doom has never displayed the power to turn invisible like Danny Phantom and walk through walls. If there was going to be an explanation for why Doctor Doom had that cloak and those powers, this would be the perfect way to do that. One of the other contentions that I had for Doctor Doom being the Wanderer was that him walking around as some ghostly specter doesn't really fit his personality or his style. Doctor Doom is very boastful, arrogant. He loves to hear the sound of his own voice and tell you how smart he is. The part that I conveniently ignored, however, is that Doctor Doom will put aside some of his personality traits in order to accomplish a bigger goal. For example, he did this in the original Zero War comic. Doom put aside his pride and teamed up with people that he thought would be beneath him, specifically Geno and the Imagined Order. He took orders from them, listened to everything that they had to say, got as much intel as he could. That way he could steal all their tech right off from underneath their nose, which is why he was able to get access to the Ice King's castle. And if you didn't know this, he actually killed Gunner all the way back in Chapter 3, which makes it double as hilarious if Gunner is actually Megalodon, because that means that he technically killed him twice, but I digress. My point here is that if Doctor Doom was able to put his pride aside to work with the Imagined Order, there's a good chance he'd be able to do the same when it came to talking with Megalodon, as well as walking around the Fortnite Island in order to gain more intel. But that begs the question, intel on what? Because it wasn't just Megalodon and the rig that he was looking at. No, Doctor Doom was wandering around the island because he was in search of something else. But We're gonna get to what that thing is in a little bit. The thing that Dr. Doom was looking for as the Wanderer was like the third or fourth part of his plan, but the first part was the most important because this is how he took over the entire Fortnite Island. Somehow over the course of chapter 5, probably before, Dr. Doom was made aware of Pandora's box. That's why he helped create the society and was trying to help Valeria out. He used them to scout it out in the hopes that he would be able to open it and gain its power. Unfortunately, I think the box opened a little too early before he was ready to gain access to it. This of course led to the events of seasons 2 and 3, where eventually Dr. Doom was able to obtain Pandora's box by the end of season 3. Now the significance of the rig event in season 3 was to show that the source of the nitro was actually Pandora's box, but even more important than that, to show that Dr. Doom was there to absorb the power of Pandora's box, which we saw in the trailer for season 4. Now, while Megalodon was content on using the byproduct of Pandora's box, the nitro, to power his ship and try to conquer the Fortnite Island, Dr. Doom had a grander plan. He also wanted to take control of the Fortnite Island, but this was only in service of his grander goal, and he was going to use the power of Pandora's box to do this. You see, capturing the power of Pandora's box was phase 1 of the plan, but phase 2 was so much more sinister, and this is where Dr. Doom dominated Fortnite. For those who don't know what I'm talking about or haven't seen all the Easter eggs, Doom has an insane kill count under his belt this season. This includes beings like Thanos, Thor, Galactus, the Silver Surfer, Iron Man, Ultron, Magneto, Moon Knight, Doctor Strange, and, regrettably, the Fantastic Four, who might have the worst fates of them all. Ben Grimm was turned into Doom's throne, which is odd because Doom is sitting on the thing. Take that as you will. Johnny Storm's heart has a special place burning eternally in Doom's fireplace. Susan Storm is debatably dead. She more than likely is, and if that is the case, she's a corpse sitting in a glass case next to a piano. That way Doom can serenade it. Finally, her husband arguably has the worst fate of them all. Reed Richards is still alive, but he's stuck in the shape of a ball, forced to think about how he couldn't save his family and friends at the hands of Victor Von Doom. Listen, guys, I have to applaud Fortnite for taking such a drastic, dark turn with the storyline this season. They are really pushing the boundaries of that T for teen rating, and I am all here for it. The thing that sprung to my mind after this insane kill count by Dr. Doom is, why go through all the trouble of killing all these people just to take over the Fortnite Island? I think it's mainly because Doom doesn't want there to be anyone that could possibly challenge his authority. Like, if you look at some of the people that I mentioned, a few of them are cosmic level threats, and Doom seems to be able to have taken them out with ease. But more importantly, I think that Doom was actually just trying to test his power. I think he had a lot of confidence in himself after taking over the powers of Pandora's box, and rightfully so. He took out freaking Galactus. I also think he was testing the limits of his powers for the one person he hates more than anybody in the entire universe, and that could be none other than Mephisto. See, right outside of Doom's castle is this ominous pillar-like structure that is exuding clouds of black smoke and orange lightning. Kind of looks like Nitro, and on the inside is all this crazy-looking lava. But what's most interesting is that at the entrance of this domain are these demonic-like symbols. These are going to be used to summon Mephisto, and I think the structure is going to be used to trap him some kind of way. But why would Dr. Doom go to all this trouble? For those who have never picked up a Marvel comic or aren't familiar with the stories, basically Mephisto is an allegory for the devil, and Dr. Doom's mom made a deal with him. And as a result, he got to keep her soul forever, robbing Doom of his childhood and the love of his mother. And Dr. Doom would love nothing more than to get his mother's soul back. That's actually one of his biggest missions inside the comic books. The issue typically is that Mephisto is insanely powerful and cunning, but now that Doom has the power of Pandora's box, he might actually stand a chance at being able to defeat Mephisto. I honestly think Mephisto is going to have a huge role this season. It's going to play out in two major ways. The first is going to be with Fortnitemares, and the second is going to get us to Chapter 2 OG. If you want to know my thoughts on that, you're going to want to make sure you subscribe to the channel, because I'm going to have an entire video dedicated to that later on this season. However, right now, I'm more interested in figuring out what the rest of Dr. Doom's plan is. As if grabbing the power of Pandora's box, rescuing his mother from Mephisto, and killing off half the Marvel Universe wasn't enough, there's actually one other thing that Dr. Doom wants more than anything else in the world, and that is simply control over the entire Omniverse. And the only way he's going to be able to do that is if he gains access to the 0 point. Now, although we haven't seen the 0 point this chapter, it has been mentioned in passing, as well as been alluded to in loading screens like the one we saw with Valeria all the way back in season 1. Also, guys, keep this in mind. If there's a storm on the Fortnite Island as well as a loop, there has to be a 0 point, because both of those things are a defense mechanism or a byproduct of the 0 point existing. It's a way for the 0 point to keep itself safe from people accessing it. Now, even if that is true that the 0 point still exists, What makes me think that Doctor Doom is in fact looking for it? If you go to one of the far buildings in Doomstat, Doctor Doom actually has a war room where on a whiteboard you can see a crudely drawn Fortnite Island with a little ball in the center and 3 X's surrounding it. Now, if you actually travel on the Fortnite Island to where you think those X's would be, you'll actually find excavation sites where Doctor Doom is digging up something. More specifically, I think Doctor Doom is trying to weaken a certain section of the island. That way he has access to the 0 point. Also, when you really think about it, what else would Doctor Doom be trying to dig up that would be worth any value to him? He already has the power of Pandora's box. So outside of access to the entire Omniverse, what else would Doctor Doom crave? Finally, if you're a fan of the comics, you know that Doctor Doom has actually done something like this before. There's actually a Marvel story where Doom gets what he wants. He becomes God Emperor Doom, takes over Earth, wipes out Thanos, and creates a utopian society where everyone's actually happy. My point is that this plan is not something that's foreign to Doom. He's done it before, and he wants to do it again, but on an omniversal level. Guys, I am so curious to see how this story is going to play out, with Doctor Doom seemingly being unstoppable, with Mephisto looming in the background, with half the Marvel cast being wiped out, the ones that would be the most likely to stop Doctor Doom. This is shaping up to be one of the most interesting stories we've seen in Fortnite in probably 2, maybe 3 years. I have quite a few ideas on how I think they're going to resolve everything, but I want to save those for a future video. And if you want to see that too, make sure to subscribe to the channel, because I am telling you right now, Doctor Doom's domination on Fortnite is just beginning.